sent for a picture here. Look at it. And she's special.
Fetching. Personally, I think that dress may be a trifle old for her.
She's gorgeous.
Remember when network TV would greenlight anything in the 1980s? If it had a star, a gimmick, or a monkey, chances are it got a pilot. Some of these sitcoms lasted a season. Some barely made it past their first commercial break, but all of them left behind the kind of glorious wreckage only the 80s could produce. Today, we're counting down 10 of the worst one-season sitcoms of the decade. From orangutans in Washington, to Madeline Kahn trying to save ABC, to Fox deciding that Teenage Spies and Deadly Pumpkins were a solid primetime plan. And stick around for number 1. It's one of the strangest TV experiments Fox ever unleashed, and trust us, you won't forget it. Now, before we get started, be sure to like and subscribe. It helps YouTube show this video to more retro TV fans just like you. Now, let's get into the countdown with number 10, Mr. Smith, NBC. We're kicking off with a show so magnificently unhinged, you'd think we were pranking you. But this was 1983 after all, and NBC legitimately greenlit a political sitcom about a talking orangutan climbing the Washington power ladder.
You didn't even need the 3. The dealer had a 17.
You signaled me.
I didn't signal you.
Meet Mr. Smith, starring Cha the Orangutan, a seasoned Hollywood vet who drank some experimental brain juice, which rocketed him to an IQ of 256, started chatting up a storm, and boom, landed a gig as a DC policy advisor. Because naturally, when you need someone negotiating nuclear disarmament, you call the guy who still picks bugs out of his fur during budget meetings. The voice behind our primate pundit was show co-creator Ed Weinberg from Taxi and The Cosby Show, the only man brave enough to pitch What If Planet of the Apes met The West Wing with a completely straight face. NBC actually surrounded their furry political consultant with serious talent.
Smith, the house has been broken into. We suspected kidnappers. Where were you?
I was working late and must have dozed Bobo. I left him sleeping in the living room.
Leonard Frey from Fiddler on the Roof played his perpetually frazzled secretary Raymond Holyoke. Terry Garber, known from Dynasty and North and South, was scientist Dr. Judy Tyson. Stuart Margolin from The Rockford Files showed up as the equally bewildered Dr. Klein, and Tim Dunnigan played Smith's trainer-turned-assistant. And yes, that's the same Tim Dunnigan who got fired as Face from the A-Team pilot for looking too young next to Mr. T. They even scored magnificent guest stars. Don Amici dropped by, Jane Badler from V made an appearance, and Joaquin Phoenix showed up in one of his first TV gigs, probably wondering what his agent was even thinking. NBC was convinced they had the next Alf on their hands. Instead, they got a ratings catastrophe that debuted at 47th out of 57 shows.
Mr. Smith,
This is just inexcusable, Judy. How long am I supposed to wait for him?
well, I'm afraid.
What's the matter with him?
Critics savaged it as insultingly dumb and one long nuance, which, fair point. And viewership crashed so hard that only 13 episodes ever made it to air. But wait, there's more. In a move that screamed we're not going down without a fight, NBC launched the legendary Dial an Ape hotline, a 1-900 number where you could chat with Mr. Smith for just 50 cents a minute. Shockingly, America wasn't lining up to pay premium rates for fake orangutan wisdom. Starting our countdown with a political sitcom about a genius ape sets the perfect tone here. It was bizarre, actually happened, and it was peak 80s television madness. And trust us, we're just getting warmed up, because now we have number 9, Oh Madeline, ABC. Picture this, it's 1983, ABC was cooking with gas, and one of comedy's absolute legends is finally getting her own sitcom. We're talking Madeline Kahn, the woman who stole every scene in Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein, and Clue. So obviously this show was destined to run forever, right? Well, hold that thought. Oh Madeline cast Kahn as Madeline Wayne, a suburban housewife who'd been married for a decade and suddenly decided her life needed a serious shot of adrenaline, and by adrenaline, we mean every ridiculous 80s trend imaginable.
You'll never guess what happened. Robert broke the vase.
seaweed diets, aerobic obsessions, sneaking into ladies-only strip clubs, crashing male stripper parties. Basically a greatest hits compilation of Reagan-era chaos crammed into 30-minute episodes. The show channeled classic screwball comedy. Think I Love Lucy, but with more leg warmers and questionable lifestyle choices. Pure slapstick, martial mix-ups, and domestic disasters, except Oh Madeline had some actual bite underneath all that canned laughter. It was quietly tackling identity crises, flirtations, and wild girls' night out storylines that were pretty gutsy for primetime.
Now here's the kicker most people miss. This was the very first sitcom from Carsey Werner Productions.
Yeah, the same masterminds behind The Cosby Show, Roseanne, and Third Rock from the Sun. Their entire build everything under one magnetic funny lead empire, it all started right here with Madeline Kahn testing the waters. And talk about guest stars. Jeffrey Tambor showed up as this hilariously self-absorbed novelist obsessed with Madeline.
I'm flippin' gifted. And the gifted should be allowed their little eccentricities.
Johnny Mathis crooned at her high school reunion, and if you blinked, you'd miss a young Jennifer Tilly years before her Oscar nominations, poker tournaments, and Child's Play movies. Critics adored Kahn's performance. She even scored a Golden Globe nomination for Best Actress in a Comedy Series.
Could you? I can't. It just doesn't.
But despite all that talent and industry love, ABC couldn't get viewers to bite. After just 19 episodes, they pulled the plug, leaving everyone wondering what might have been. Looking back, Oh Madeline was probably a little too ahead of its time, a show about a woman completely reinventing herself, poking holes in marriage cliches and diving face first into every cultural craze.
It didn't survive, but it became the blueprint for what Carsey Werner would perfect for decades.
Brilliant, unpredictable leads carrying entire shows. These days, with clips scattered across YouTube, Oh Madeline has found this quiet cult following. It's bonkers, chaotic, and pure early 80s energy. The kind of show you discover at 2 a.m. and think, how did this not become a phenomenon? Number 8, No Soap Radio, ABC. Alright, buckle up for one of the most gloriously unhinged experiments ever unleashed on primetime. No Soap Radio. This beauty premiered on ABC in April of 1982, lasted exactly 5 episodes, then vanished faster than your patience during a My Mother the Car marathon. This title came from this classic prank joke where the whole point was that the punchline, No Soap Radio, made absolutely 0 sense.
Oh, I'm here about the job.
Right. What do you know about hats?
Well, for 2 years, I was the head...
You tell it to a group, have your buddies laugh like it was hilarious, and watch some poor soul either fake laugh along or admit they don't get it. Pure psychological warfare disguised as comedy, which pretty much summed up the entire show. The plot, and we're being generous with that word here, centered on Atlantic City's crumbling Pelican Hotel, but really, the hotel was just a launching pad for complete madness. Steve Guttenberg played owner Roger, right on the verge of his 80s comedy breakout with Diner and eventually Police Academy. His assistant Karen was played by Hilary B. Smith, scheming house detective Tuttle by Stuart Pankin, and oddball resident Mr. Plitsky by Bill Dana. There was also Jerry Marin, one of the Lollipop Guild munchkins from The Wizard of Oz, playing Bellboy Morris, and Edie McClurg as resident weirdo Marion.
I know what you're saying, baby. Easy.
But here's where things went completely sideways. Instead of normal hotel hijinks, the show used the Pelican as a framing device for escalating chaos. 1 second Roger was dealing with a broken ice machine. The next, you're watching a special report about a man-eating chair terrorizing Atlantic City. Hotel rooms randomly opened into jungles, courtrooms, or bowling alleys. The camera would zoom in on some random background prop, and boom, you were in a completely different sketch about the day everybody's name was Al, or trapped inside the Hat Factory. And that mysterious break in case of fire booth, it contained different visual gags in every episode, none of which ever made sense. Picture Monty Python's Flying Circus crashing into Police Squad. Constant stream of sketches, fake commercials, and non sequiturs, that completely hijacked whatever story they were pretending to tell.
This just in. A man-eating chair is on the loose. City officials urge residents to stay indoors and avoid suspicious furniture.
The weirdness didn't stop cool guests from passing through either. Jerry Stiller appeared as Carmine in one episode, Ron Palillo from Welcome Back Kotter showed up, and that was just the beginning. Robin Williams, Bob Saget, and Billy Crystal all made appearances too, because apparently everyone wanted a piece of this beautiful madness. Here's the thing, ABC ran this show on Tuesday nights as part of their hour of comedy power. Alongside Bosom Buddies, Police Squad, and Mork and Mindy, two of the most boundary-pushing comedies on that lineup, No Soap Radio and Police Squad, both got the axe. Network audiences in 1982 apparently weren't ready for avant-garde humor served with their regular programming. Critics hated it, viewers were baffled, and ABC couldn't cancel it fast enough. But here's the kicker. It has developed a small cult following among people who appreciate truly unhinged television, despite the fact that it's barely available anywhere. There's no syndication, no home video releases, just scattered clips on YouTube and memories from people who caught it during that brief original run. You want proof it's ahead of its time? The BBC aired all 5 episodes back to back without commercials, which somehow made the rapid-fire insanity even more disorienting. 5 episodes, a carnivorous chair, a day when everyone was named Al, and Steve Guttenberg wrestling with interdimensional hotel management. Short-lived, surreal, and maybe secretly brilliant, if you were twisted enough to appreciate the joke, that is. Number 7, Leo and Liz in Beverly Hills, CBS. Remember when TV tried to turn Beverly Hills snobbery into sitcom gold? Well, meet Leo and Liz in Beverly Hills, CBS's 1986 attempt that lasted exactly 6 episodes before getting the boot faster than a tourist in sweatpants at the Beverly Hills Hotel. The show starred Harvey Korman from The Carol Burnett Show and Valerie Perrine, best known for Superman and Lenny, as Leo and Liz Green, a working-class New Jersey couple who struck it rich when their furniture refinishing business invented some revolutionary varnish. Suddenly, flush with cash, they ditched the Garden State for Beverly Hills, only to discover that navigating old money snobs and judgmental neighbors was trickier than any small business tax return. Here's the kicker. This thing had serious comedy DNA. It was conceived by Steve Martin and Carl Gottlieb, who co-wrote Jaws because he obviously had range. But Martin basically pulled a thanks for the concept, call me when it's Emmy season move, credited as co-creator and executive producer, but nowhere near the actual trenches of day-to-day production. Word is the show suffered from creative differences and zero clear vision once it moved past the pilot stage. Speaking of that pilot, titled The Couch, it originally aired in fall of 1985 as part of George Burns' Comedy Week and actually worked pretty well as a standalone. CBS liked it enough to order a full series, but lightning refused to strike twice.
I'm dying here.
Would you all like to go out in the backyard and we have some wonderful new patio furniture?
Backyard. I want you to see that furniture.
Those 6 follow-up episodes never came close to matching the original charm. The supporting cast tried their best to add some zip. Deborah Harmon and Kenneth Kimmins played the Feddersons, those delightfully snooty, old money neighbors who never let Leo and Liz forget they didn't belong.
I'm going to stay with white wine, Leo.
Julie Payne and Michael J. Pollard showed up as Lucille and Leonard, the eccentric maid and handyman duo, bringing their own brand of oddball energy.
Casting Valerie Perrine was particularly interesting. Here was an actress with Cannes and Golden Globe Awards diving headfirst into broad sitcom territory.
And for Harvey Korman, this was another swing at anchoring his own post-Carol Burnett vehicle, joining the ranks of noble failures like The Nut House. The whole thing was pitched as Green Acres with a Rodeo Drive makeover, plastic surgery gags, slapstick encounters with status-obsessed socialites, and peak 80s new money versus old money comedy. It could have been funny in the right hands, but CBS stuck it in the 8:30 p.m. Friday death slot, and viewers had better things to do.
Well, I've got a sore throat. I'm not so sure.
Have you tried gargling with sea salt? Yeah, that's a good idea. Goodbye. Have a nice day. Well, honey, well, they would have stayed, but they had someplace else to go.
Oh, Leo, what if we never make any friends? What if nobody ever comes to the door?
Critics called the humor scattered, and by June of 1986, CBS quietly pulled the plug without much fanfare. Still, Leo and Liz serves as this perfect little mid-80s time capsule, capturing the decade's obsession with wealth, celebrity culture, and the comedy potential of class warfare. It didn't work, but it left us with one of sitcom history's stranger what-ifs. What if Steve Martin and Harvey Korman had actually delivered the next great American comedy instead of Rodeo Drive Camp that barely survived 6 weeks? Number 6, The Pursuit of Happiness, ABC.
Where's the answer? You got a solution.
Now, this is not to be confused with the Will Smith tearjerker. This Pursuit of Happiness was chasing laughs, not Oscars. ABC launched this sitcom on October 30th of 1987 and somehow stretched it to 10 episodes before mercy killing it on January 8th of 1988. The setup followed David Hanley, played by Paul Provenza, a young history teacher who finally scored his dream teaching gig working under his academic hero, Professor Roland Duncan, played by TV veteran Brian Keith. The catch, his supposed mentor turned out to be a cranky traditionalist who made David's life about as inspiring as a 10-year committee meeting.
Would 0 be the number you're groping for?
Approximately 0, yes, sir.
Now, toss in David's awkward crush on shy fellow faculty member Margaret Callahan, played by Wendell Meldrum, and you had your standard workplace romance subplot. For some reason, Magic Johnson appeared as himself in 3 of the 10 episodes, basically making the Lakers superstar a recurring guest star. Because nothing says struggling academic comedy like random basketball celebrity cameos, right? Behind the scenes, this thing had legitimate comedy credentials. It was created by Michael J. Whitehorn, who'd already cut his teeth writing for Cheers and Family Ties. The guy who would later co-create The King of Queens and Ned and Stacy, so he clearly knew his way around a sitcom, which made the spectacular failure of Pursuit of Happiness all the more baffling. The cast was intriguing in hindsight too. Provenza was primarily known as a stand-up comic at the time, though his acting chops would later surface in Northern Exposure and other projects. Brian Keith, meanwhile, was deep in his short-lived sitcom era. After iconic runs in the 60s and 70s, he was cycling through a string of one-season flops in the late 80s and early 90s, and this was just another stop on that unfortunate tour. So, why didn't it work? The simple answer is a ratings death spiral. It was stuck on Fridays. The show never really drew more than modest numbers and got steamrolled by established hits.
Things are different now, you know? I'm a college professor. If there was ever a time to start acting like a mature, responsible adult, the time is now.
Critics weren't exactly throwing roses either. Most reviews found the premise uninspired, the humor hit or miss, and noted that the on-screen chemistry never quite clicked despite everyone's individual talents. When those 10 episodes wrapped, ABC just let it quietly disappear. No reruns, no syndication, no streaming resurrection, and today it exists mainly as a footnote in its creators' careers and a source of confusion for people who think you're talking about the Will Smith movie. 10 episodes, Magic Johnson cameos, and Brian Keith wondering how he went from Family Affair to this. Sometimes even good pedigree can't save a show that nobody asked for. Hey, if you're enjoying this trip through the 80s sitcom graveyard, hit that like button and subscribe. It really does help the channel. Now let's get back into the countdown with number 5, One of the Boys. NBC, Twice. You know that saying about learning from your mistakes? Well, NBC apparently missed that memo, because in the span of 7 years, they blessed us with not one, but 2 completely unrelated sitcom disasters called One of the Boys. Same network, same title, same spectacular failure. It's like some kind of cosmic joke. First up was 1982's One of the Boys. On paper, this looked like television gold. It was created by Bernie Orenstein and Saul Turteltaub. You know, the masterminds behind Sanford & Son and What's Happening. They had a cast that read like a comedy fantasy draft with Mickey Rooney, Dana Carvey, Nathan Lane, Scatman Crothers, and a young Meg Ryan. This is the kind of lineup that would make modern streaming services throw Scrooge McDuck money at you. Rooney played Oliver Nugent, a lively senior citizen moving in with his grandson, played by Carvey, and the grandson's roommate, played by Lane. Crothers was Oliver's buddy Bernard. Ryan played Carvey's girlfriend Jane, and the whole thing was supposed to be this heartwarming intergenerational comedy.
You know, I could kiss you.
Whenever you want.
Instead, it was aggressively bland despite all that star power. So bland that TV Guide later crowned it number 24 on their 2002 list of the 50 worst shows of all time. Ouch. But here's where it gets weird. 7 years later, in 1989, NBC somehow ended up with another show called One of the Boys. Different creators, different concept, different everything, just the same unfortunate name. This time, Maria Conchita Alonso starred as Maria Conchita Navarro, a Venezuelan bookkeeper who married her boss, Mike Lukowski, played by Robert Cluhesi, a widowed construction company owner.
My last position was at the Pirates Cove restaurant.
You mean that joint in Flushing with the toxic clams and all the stabbings?
Suddenly, she was instant stepmom to his 3 sons, Luke, played by Michael DeLuise, Steve, played by Billy Morissette, and Nick, played by Justin Whalen. Credit where it's due, Alonso was one of the few Latina actresses leading a primetime sitcom back then, which was quietly groundbreaking. NBC even gave it a sweet Saturday slot right after the Golden Girls. Prime real estate, not some Friday night burial ground. But after a couple weeks, they started shuffling it around the schedule like a hot potato. Ratings tanked, and the writing never gave Alonso anything worthwhile to work with. Critics wrote it off as standard family sitcom fare masquerading as something fresh, and 6 episodes later, it was toast. So, there you have it. 2 completely different shows that just happened to share the same cursed title and the same network. One wasted a dream cast anchored by Mickey Rooney, the other squandered a chance to showcase groundbreaking representation. Both proved that sometimes certain combinations of words are just destined for television failure, no matter what you build around them. Number 4, Condo. ABC. Remember when MacLean Stevenson left MASH thinking the grass was greener on the other sitcom side? Well, by the time Condo rolled around in 1983, he was already on his 4th attempt to prove it. Spoiler alert, the grass was still pretty brown. The setup actually sounded promising. 2 families from completely different worlds shared the same suburban condo community. Stevenson played James Kirkridge, a buttoned-up insurance salesman whose finances had taken a hit, forcing him to move next door to Jesse Rodriguez, played by electric company alum Luis Avalos.
Don't you wish you could? You bet I do. I'd buy your place in a minute.
You would? Then make me an offer.
A hot-headed but successful landscaping business owner who'd moved his family up from East LA. Naturally, the Kirkridges assumed the Rodriguezes were the groundskeepers, and naturally, they were dead wrong. Cue the racial tension, cultural clashes, and enough passive-aggressive patio drama to fuel a season of reality TV. ABC wasn't messing around with the pacing either. By episode 2, James's college-age son, Scott, played by Mark Shoup, had secretly married Jesse's law student daughter, Linda, played by Julie Korman, and she was already pregnant. Episode 3, Catholic Church Wedding. Episode 4, the baby had arrived, and in its first month, Condo speed ran an entire soap opera arc from strangers to in-laws to baby shower. The supporting cast kept piling on complications, with Grandpa Jose, played by James Victor, literally knocking down part of the wall between condos to build a shared nursery, while Stevenson's character lost his mind about losing his study. Yvonne Wilder played James's wife Marge, and here's a fun bit of casting weirdness. She was actually 2 years older than James Victor, who played her father. Mark Price showed up as the Kirkridge's younger son Billy, while already playing recurring character Skippy on Family Ties.
Alex, why did you do it? You could go out with any girl you want. Why couldn't you just say no?
When Condo got axed, it let him focus full-time on the much more successful NBC sitcom. Now, behind the scenes, this thing had some serious sitcom pedigree. It was created by Sheldon Bull and executive produced by Paul Junger-Witt, Tony Thomas, and John Rich, the powerhouse team behind Soap, The Golden Girls, and All in the Family. If even they couldn't make it work, you knew the premise had serious problems. Critics called it horribly unfunny, loaded with humor that leaned too hard on racial tensions and cringe-worthy stereotypes. While the Jeffersons had successfully tackled cultural clashes with wit and warmth, Condo collapsed under forced plotting and uncomfortable jokes that made everyone squirm for the wrong reasons.
Well, there's one here, and there's a real big one here. I guess they're about 4 inches apart.
ABC pulled the plug in May of 1983 after just 13 episodes, but by then, MacLean Stevenson's string of post-MASH disasters had become such a Hollywood punchline that TV critic David Bianculli later created the MacLean Stevenson Memorial I'm Gonna Quit This Show and Become a Big Star award in his honor. ABC bet big, threw retooling and star cameos at the problem, and still couldn't make it work. In the end, Condo remains a relic of early 80s television, a show with a killer creative team and daring premise that somehow managed to be both rushed and completely lifeless. Number 3. Baby Boom, NBC. Remember when NBC thought it could turn a Diane Keaton movie into the next 30-something? In 1987, the film Baby Boom was a box office hit, so naturally, TV execs decided America was dying for more stories about high-powered career women suddenly drowning in unexpected diaper duty. Enter Kate Jackson from Charlie's Angels and Scarecrow and Mrs. King, stepping into the Diane Keaton role as J.C. Wyatt, a Manhattan management consultant who inherited a toddler and suddenly had to juggle boardroom backstabbing with baby bottles.
How can you hate it? You never even tried it. I want my friend. Bobby, please try it.
2 actors from the film even returned, with Sam Wanamaker reprising his role and the Kennedy twins who played Baby Elizabeth coming back for round 2. NBC really went all in on this one. The show launched in September of 1988, just as the Writers Guild strike was wrapping up, and the network tied its debut to a massive promotional blitz. The creators, Nancy Meyers and Charles Shire, the same team behind the movie, insisted the series be made without a laugh track, giving it this more cinematic, prestige TV vibe.
We look forward to working side by side with each and every one of you. Well, not me personally. Personally, I don't want to have anything to do with any of you.
On paper, it looked like appointment television, but good intentions and star power weren't enough. Critics couldn't figure out what they were watching. Some said it lacked the sharp wit of the movie, while others complained it wasn't compelling enough as a drama. Audiences were equally as lost. Was this supposed to be a clever workplace dramedy, or just another sitcom built around baby spit-ups during important meeting gags? The supporting cast was loaded with future stars. Joy Behar, years before The View made her a household name, and Susie Essman long before Curb Your Enthusiasm turned her into a comedy legend.
The hell are you thinking?
I was doodling!
On a pillow, Sheriff? You think this is an appropriate symbol to be petty pointing on a pillow?
Look out!
Even they couldn't save the scripts that never knew what show they were writing for. After just a handful of episodes in fall of 1988, NBC pulled the plug for creative changes. Network speak for "we have no idea what to do with this thing." They quietly burned all of the remaining episodes the following summer, bringing the total to 1 season and 13 episodes of expensive confusion. Kate Jackson brought legitimate star power. NBC gave it Olympic-sized promotion, and Meyers and Shire had the movie credentials to back it up, but instead of the next 30-something, Baby Boom became a textbook case of how even prestige projects can faceplant when nobody can decide what they're actually making. Number 2, The Redd Foxx Show, ABC. Remember when ABC thought they could succeed where NBC had spectacularly failed? After Sanford & Son made Redd Foxx comedy royalty, NBC tried a sequel called Sanford in 1980 that limped through 2 short seasons before getting the axe. But in 1986, ABC was convinced they had the magic formula to give Redd Foxx his real comeback. Cue The Redd Foxx Show, ABC's attempt to prove that third time is the charm.
Don't look at me with them big Bambi eyes. I like them on Bambi and I don't like them on you.
On paper, it looked rock solid. Fox played Al Hughes, a New York newsstand and diner owner who takes in a foster daughter named Tony, played by a young Pamela Adlon, then credited as Pamela Segal. His supporting crew included friends and exes, plus Nathaniel Taylor, Rollo from Sanford & Son, now playing Jim Jam in a sweet nod to Fox's glory days. But behind the scenes, it was pure chaos. Characters vanished without explanation, and halfway through the season, the show got completely retooled into something almost unrecognizable. Adlon's teenage Tony was written out completely, replaced by a whole new family dynamic. Fox, his ex-wife, played by Beverly Todd, and a grown foster son named Byron, played by a then-unknown Sinbad. Even the Rollo reunion was brief. Taylor appeared in just 2 episodes before being replaced by Theodore Wilson, better known to Good Times fans as Sweet Daddy Williams, who played Jim Jam for 6 episodes.
Felicia, he has con women all over the country. They're looking for him. He's a bad dude.
The rest of the supporting cast was solid too. Barry Van Dyke showed up as Sergeant Dwight Stryker for 6 episodes, and Rosanna DeSoto played Diana Olmos for 7 episodes. Guest stars kept things interesting like Glenn Turman, former Miss America Vanessa Williams, Lawrence Hilton Jacobs, Carol O'Connor, and Charlie Adler all made guest appearances. O'Connor even pulled double duty as a credited writer on the episode Old Buddies while guest starring in it. The first couple weeks drew decent curiosity ratings, but viewers bailed faster than you could say big dummy. ABC started shuffling it around the schedule like a deck of cards, and by May of 1986, it was officially dead after just 13 episodes.
Yeah, they can dance anytime they want, like right now. I'm ready. Oh, well, good. Wait a minute.
The failure hit hard because this was supposed to be Fox's real return to form. He'd already tried a short-lived variety show in the late 70s, then the Sanford sequel bombed in the early 80s, and now this. Critics said the new show had zero chemistry, leaned too heavily on Sanford and Son nostalgia, and never found its own voice. Add Fox's very public IRS troubles to the mix and the pressure to deliver was crushing. ABC bet big, threw retooling and star cameos at the problem, and still couldn't make it work. In the end, the Redd Foxx show just reminded everyone how brilliant Fox had been the first time around, and how impossible it was to recapture that magic. Number 1, The New Adventures of Beans Baxter. Fox. Okay, confession time. Our final entry isn't exactly a traditional sitcom, but trust us, this one earns its spot. The New Adventures of Beans Baxter was part of Fox's experimental lineup in 1987, back when the network was still trying to figure out if it wanted to be edgy, weird, or a little bit of both. Created by savage Steve Holland, the same offbeat mind behind Better Off Dead and One Crazy Summer, this half-hour brain scrambler mashed together teen comedy, spy adventure, and surreal visual gags. It was part Get Smart, part Ferris Bueller, and definitely unlike anything else polluting the airwaves. The premise was Benjamin Beans Baxter Jr., played by Jonathan Ward, started as your average Kansas teenager until he discovered his dad was a spy, watched him get kidnapped, and wound up recruited into a top-secret agency called The Network. From there, he dodged assassins, battled international terrorists, and still tried to survive high school, because apparently juggling homework and saving democracy was just another Tuesday.
It's best not to mention your father in the school unless he's practically the president. Hi, I'm Woodshop.
Oh, hi, Beans.
The villains were, shall we say, colorful? Kurtwood Smith played Mr. Sue, the head of evil spy organization Ugly, delivering menace with the same dry bite he'd later bring to that 70s show. Taylor Negron popped up as his hilariously smarmy henchman. Punk icon Wendy O. Williams appeared in the two-part pilot as Conju, a volatile spy who blurred the line between ally and enemy, and yes, a young Jason Priestley showed up in a one-off role as a frat boy, 3 years before his big break on 90210. But the real magic came from Holland's signature style. Just like his movies, Beans Baxter leaned hard on cartoonish sound effects, surreal cutaways, and ridiculous plot twists.
Yeah, I just figured tonight was the night, you know? And then the Pillsbury frat boys tried to turn me into a giant s'more.
Episodes featured everything from robot meltdowns to nuclear heists to a full-on deadly pumpkin attack. Even the head of the network had his own running gag, obsessing over his cat no matter how dire the international crisis. It was bizarre, playful, and way ahead of its time. Supporting the chaos was Eleanor Donahue as Susan Baxter, Beans' mom, who remained blissfully clueless about her son's spy adventures. A straight-laced homemaker grounding the show in domestic sitcom tradition, clever casting for an actress famous from the wholesome classic Father Knows Best. 17 episodes ultimately aired, though Fox had ordered 21. Production ended before the final 4 were completed, leaving us with one strange, memorable season that never found a mainstream audience but earned serious cult status. Today, Beans Baxter lives on as fans trade clips online, swap memories of its surreal gags, and fiercely defend it as one of the boldest things Fox ever attempted in its scrappy early years. It was chaotic, ridiculous, and absolutely ahead of its time. And that's exactly why it tops our countdown. Because sometimes the weirdest experiments are the ones that stick with you forever, reminding us that Fox's willingness to get completely unhinged gave us some truly unforgettable television. And there you have it, 10 of the worst one-season sitcoms of the 1980s. Some had all-star casts, some had all-star chaos, but none of them had any all-star staying power. Which one was the worst in your book, and did we miss a forgotten flop that deserves a spot? Let us know in the comments section below. Now, before you go, be sure to like, subscribe, and check out our full playlist of 80s TV flops. The link is in the description. Until next time, this is Remember When.